This is 22 Nonprofits in 22 Days, brought to you by Operation Intel Veteran Stories.
What is going on, everybody? We're back, 22 Nonprofits in 22 Days. Make sure you guys are sharing the stream. I had to change my password. to Facebook, so you guys got a little late notification. So I'm going to let some people get in here before we get going. We have a really good one for you guys tonight. Something a little different, but I was talking to the guest that's coming on tonight, and our stories are almost identical. Hairline, gosh, my hairline is beautiful. Okay, guys, how are we doing, Mac? What's going on, Nick? Casey, always a pleasure having you in here. All right, we're getting some more people rolling in here. Listen, guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys stick around. We're doing something that I don't think is being done. This channel started out with, and I like to go through this on every episode. The channel started out as, me going through kind of isolating and depression and stuff like that. And I just knew that there was somebody out there feeling the same way I was, and it had to be a veteran. And having a conversation with my 11-year-old daughter, 11 years old, I asked her, I said, do you think people would want to hear from veterans? And she said, you should do it. From that, I started doing interviews with combat veterans talking about their time in service and their struggles after service. And it was amazing. I had made shorts of some of the interviews that I was doing. And I mean, you're talking, our content has probably been viewed 5 to 6 million times across all platforms. We came into the Rally Point, which is our Sunday night live show, and I started highlighting nonprofits that were doing really good things for veterans. Not your big corporate ones that, spend millions and millions of dollars, but the grassroots nonprofits. And I had a couple of those on, and I fell in love with it. And I came up with an idea of doing a 22-hour stream. And then my good buddy, Nick Crouch, said, Tim, what do you think about 22 nonprofits in 22 days? And I thought it was a great idea. And here we are on day 11. We've had some great nonprofits from anywhere from down in Louisiana to Texas to out in Montana to North Carolina, all over. And even here in Ohio, we had a really good one. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to connect veterans with these nonprofits that are really making a difference throughout the country. Tim, don't let them bother you. I got a beautiful bald head, guys. Beautiful bald head with a great hairline that doesn't go anywhere, okay? Don't listen to Casey. But listen, guys, we've highlighted some great nonprofits. And the thought is just building a community that's there for each other. A lot of the times we just isolate. And I shared my story with you guys this last Sunday on the Rally Point. Having a community behind you that checks on you, that's there for you, is very valuable. Doesn't matter if we know you. If you are new here, welcome to our family. We're excited to have you. Make sure you're typing in the chat. We'll treat you just like family. Ignore Casey. Or just give her a hard time, one of the two. Tonight is a really good one, guys. This is a little bit different than what we've been doing, but it's awesome. I am really excited to bring you guys tonight Vet Jams. This is going to be a good one. Give me 1 second here. We got Jason Davey and Chet Pearson with us tonight. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good, brother. How are you?
Awesome.
Another day in paradise, brother. Another day in paradise, right? These guys are part of Vet Jams. And I want them to tell their story to you guys. And I want you guys to listen. They're doing an amazing thing. Something that's a little bit different than what we've covered so far. But it's awesome. I talked to Jason just a little bit ago, and he told me a little bit about what they're doing. I'm excited for you guys to hear this. Jason, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us some background in just yourself, and then I'll move over to Chet. Chet, we didn't get to talk for very long. You were on the Army time, according.
Yeah.
He's giving you a hard time over there, but you know,
Always.
Yeah, I know. It's those daggone Marines, right? So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm originally from Kansas. I signed up. My brother actually passed away. He signed up before me. He was a couple years older than me, and unfortunately, he died on a motorcycle wreck while he was in the Marine Corps. And so, kind of my first, introduction to the military was, a full military honors. And so after we buried my brother, I kind of got it into my head that I wanted to finish the enlistment that he started. I was pretty far to the left, punk rock, doing everything I wasn't supposed to be doing at the time. But I ended up signing up, and by God's grace, I made it to boot camp and passed my first urinary analysis. And then I was off. And so I did a little over 4 years. I actually got involuntarily extended to go to Iraq for the invasion in 2003. And so the day that I got on the plane to go to Kuwait was supposed to be the day that I was supposed to get out on my terminal leave. So that was fun. And did, an extra 6 months, and went to Iraq and played in the sand for a little while. And got out of the Marine Corps. A lot of guys didn't like being away from their family, but it wasn't what I really enjoyed. I missed a lot of early stuff with my daughter's first steps and all that type of stuff. So I got out and lived for a few years in North Carolina, but always loved South Louisiana. My brother went to school down here at LSU, and a couple of my Marine Corps roommates were from South Louisiana. So whenever we had a 96, we'd jump in the car from North Carolina, drive 20 hours straight, party for 48 hours, and then drive 20 hours back.
Oh my gosh,
somewhere, man. A little bit. And and so got down to South Louisiana and raised my family and did good work and all that good stuff. And then my wife got real sick, and she ended up passing away about 4 years ago from cancer. And before she did, I made a pledge to my daughter, that we should both go to therapy and really kind of start, because I knew it was going to be bad. I've lost my brother when I was 17. I lost my best friend when I was 26. Lost my dad when I was 35. And then I lost my wife when I was 42. And, I've been talking about therapy and talking about yoga and all that stuff for a bunch of years, but it really is, in my opinion, they call it complex trauma, right? It's like all the stuff that keeps stacking up over time. And it just stacked up on me, and finally got to the point that, that I couldn't take it no more, and struggled to get there, to be honest with you. My wife always told me that I came back a different person after I came home from Iraq, and, I didn't enjoy a 4th of July for more than a decade, still don't, to be honest. And,
too many
and
boom
got
booms,
into
huh?
too many booms, man. And and then one day, Chet and I were talking about suicide rates among veteran service people, and just how we were fucking sick of it, to be honest with you. Sorry about cussing, but
No, you're
just
good,
how we
man.
were tired. And we were just tired of it. And, and just kind of like what you were alluding to earlier, I really think that, we've been trying to solve, mental health and suicide rates from the top down through VA money. And I'm sure Chet will talk a little bit about it. But we just thought we needed to flip that around. We need to start dealing with our people right here on the ground, and and all of our friends and family. I mean, New Orleans is a pretty big population. There's a lot of veterans here. We've got the Reserve Division that's right across the river down at Belle Chase, and so there's a lot of military folks around here. And we thought we wanted to flip the script and start doing what we could. I taught veterans yoga for a bunch of years, and I bet maybe over a point of 5 years I might have taught 100 vets, and it was a real struggle to get veterans into yoga. It's just not something that's seen as a military centric activity. And so Chet and I were just talking about one night here at the VFW post about how we could reach veterans and talk about therapy. And New Orleans is a music city, and we like to drink down here, so we thought, well, maybe we'll start a band and we'll start talking about mental health on the mic. And that's kind of how it all started with Vet Jams.
Yeah, and Chet, go ahead and introduce yourself as well, and then I'll tell you guys my story. Kind of, believe it or not, you didn't tell me all of that. Our stories are more alike than what you think, and I'm going to share that with you too, because this is the first time that we've gotten to talk as well. I want to share a little bit about myself to you guys as well. Chet, go ahead, introduce yourself to the audience and stuff. We'd love to hear about you.
Name's Chet Pearson, born and raised in New Orleans. I come from a long line of Marines, and I was a punk rock kid just like Jason, and my dad tried to straighten me out, and we got in a fight in the driveway. He broke my nose, his telephone pole right, which he's famous for. And then to spite him, I went to the Army recruiter and joined the Army. And I came back with a shaved head, and he's like, my dad didn't know what to say. And so I went in the Army, and shortly after I got out of AIT, we got a letter in the mail saying, hey, you're going to Desert Storm. So we went over to Desert Storm, and I'm a mechanic, a 63G Golf, which is a fuel and electrical systems troubleshooter.
Yeah.
And we went over there and, took care of business. I call it the fun one, the 100-Day War. And, as a mechanic and a kid from the suburbs, I saw some stuff that, most mechanics aren't, ready for. Special ops and all that stuff. They mentally gear up for that kind of stuff. But so long story short, I get home, I get back into civilian life, and I joined the Bad Off Club. I am literally functional alcoholic, drugs, out every night, wake up, a couple hours of sleep, and I'm an electrician, and go to work, but rinse and repeat. And then I went on a bender. I had like 4 days off, and knock on the door, open the door. There's my mother of all people. And she's like, you look like complete shit. You need help. And I'm like, I need help. So she gets me into a mental health, her friend who was doing pro bono. And she's like, hey man, you have PTSD. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. And she said, look, we're going to transfer all your information over to the VA, and I'm a huge proponent of the VA. You get a lot of veterans like, poo-poo the VA, but the VA is only as good as us veterans make it. The only reason those people are in those chairs and making those big dollars is because of us. And if we want it to change, we have to get together and change it from within. Yeah. So, and I would not be sitting here right now if it was not for mental health therapy through the VA. I was so destined to, just walk off the planet. And the only thing that was stopping me was my family. I just kept thinking to myself, who's going to find my body? And I couldn't press the button. But with mental health, undo, I call it letting steam out of the tea kettle. Pull the cork out, let it all just diffuse out. And over time you could, be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
And it's been a great ride. And it's, look, every time I get on stage, it's such a pleasure to tell, veterans and whoever wants to hear it, that it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to just let people know that that you need help, and that there is help, and it's free. It's absolutely free. Just your DD-214, and they can't turn you away, no matter how hard they try. there's always someone who's going to tell you no, but guess what? There's someone behind them who's going to say yes to you. And we control it. They don't. So sorry.
Yeah.
Soapbox. I love it.
No. Yeah. I mean, but here's the thing, right? And we're losing on the average 22 veterans a day to suicide.
Yeah.
And
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that's a nonprofit. I'm pretty sure that's a nonprofit.
Yeah,
Do you want to know something funny about that nonprofit? I highlighted it on one of my first shows on a Sunday night. That's a good one. But we're battling this, and what I've noticed is that just like me and you were talking, Jason, one of the things that most veterans will not do is they won't go and they won't talk to somebody, even if they're close to them, their wife, their dad, their brother, their whatever it may be. But just like you said, you sit another combat veteran down, you've never met them before, and you'll talk to them. What I've noticed is that since we've been doing this, a lot of veterans are opening up on this forum, which is amazing to me. And the bigger we get, my goal and the goal that we've set for ourselves is to, we're never going to abolish that number 22, but what we can do is we can reduce it as much as possible. And I think that we have the means in which to do it. But the problem is we have to work together to be able to accomplish that goal. A bunch of individuals out there, they're not going to be able to do it. If we work together, though, we can get it done. That's what I personally think when it comes to that. But we've got to speak up. And I think we owe it to ourselves. And I think we also owe it to the next generation, right? Just like the Vietnam vets made sure that we didn't. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, my big thing is that, I think we're all taught to be tough guys and tough women, right? Is that, you're taught to go take that hill. You're taught to, to ignore the pain. You're taught to, you don't need sleep. You don't need food. You can do anything you put your mind to. But, I think that in a lot of ways, mental health is a real flip side of that coin. It's about being vulnerable. It's about talking about all the shit that you don't want to talk about inside your head. And that's not things that we learned. But, and I think that, the other thing is, especially as guys and women get out, is that you get real isolated. And, the reason that everybody loves being in the military, without a doubt, is always the unit, right? It's always that unit cohesion. Yeah. It's about, I still talk to Marine Corps buddies on a weekly basis that I haven't seen in 10 years, and we still talk on a regular basis. And when you lose that, you really do lose a sense of your identity. And so you kind of withdraw, and, and I think it can just kind of become a spiral. But you're absolutely right. It's so easy for us to fall back into that trustworthy position of, another man or woman in arms, because they've been there and they understand. And, Chet talks about a lot too, is that we have our own vocabulary. We know who's been there and who hasn't. You can just tell in 5 minutes of sitting and talking to somebody whether or not they're a bullshitter or if they're the real thing. Yeah. And as soon as that trust is reestablished, it's real easy, and I think especially as we get older, Chet and I, neither one of us are spring chickens anymore. We don't have to be masculine or, or try to be anybody other than who we are. And so, I think the more that we show and are honest with ourselves and with the people that come to our shows or the people that are sitting next to us at the bar about what our struggles have been, that just enables other people to realize that, hey, they're not alone. And I think that's the big thing that we're trying to overcome, is that sense of loneliness, because, I've been there. I know Chet's been there. I think just about everybody in the band has been to a point where they felt really low and they felt like there wasn't anybody to turn to. And I think the way that we can overcome that is by creating a community, whether it be around music or whether it be around ruck or be going to the gym or whatever, Tai Chi, it doesn't matter. But, find your people. And then we talk about a lot too, is check in on your people, right? When somebody ain't showing up for a week, ask where they are, give them a call, go knock on their door. And because that's what it's going to take to really bring down these numbers. And, I think one of the other things is most people in the military are all leaders, especially if you compare them to just the normal folks. Especially in the Marine Corps, we're always taught to be able to take the reins and be able to charge forward. And I think this is just another aspect of that. You identify a problem with our brothers and sisters, and you just got to figure out ways to make it better.
Yeah. And you are 110% correct. I think in all branches you were taught to smile, take it, and move on, and not say anything, because it just like Wesley was saying. He said, we were taught to not that speaking up is a weakness, and
Right. Yeah, totally.
that's our detriment right now, and it's sad because you don't know how to distinguish the two. When you're in, it's like, don't talk about it. Then when you're out, you follow those same rules, and look where it's gotten us. So
Yep.
I think that's the big thing, right?
I struggled with that for a long time too, because I
sure.
think that was one of the things that I was just realizing in myself, is that this is against my programming or against my training or whatever. But the more that I went to therapy, to be honest with you, the more that I sat with my therapist Lane, and we talked through things, I just kind of realized that what was true when I was 20 isn't true when I'm 40.
Mhm.
Right. And
Man.
that we have to be willing to change, and we have to be, because, I was miserable for a long time. I suffered from crippling anxiety. I went to the point where I was getting anxiety attacks where I felt like I was having a heart attack, 5, 6, 7 times a day. And, I think, and I realized that I should have been in therapy years before I went. And, and I think that's one of the things that I'm hoping to break down and to spare other brothers and sisters from, is you don't got to get to that breaking point, right? You if you ain't got nothing bad going on, great. Go talk to somebody and see if they ask you a few questions, if you don't get a little choked up.
Yeah.
And because we're good at burying that shit, right?
Yeah.
And we're good at keeping it below the surface. And if you're well adjusted and you don't have anything going on, great. And I'm happy for you. But I think the vast majority of military service people struggle. Same thing with first responders. Chet talks about it a lot with first responders too, is that anybody that's in high stress situations that they can't get out of, to me, is the definition of trauma. And and so I think that the more that we recognize that there's all these triggers all the way around, and like I was talking about earlier with complex trauma, the older we get, the more stuff that heaps on. And it's just good to have coping mechanisms that that help you get through, that help you become a better partner, help you become a better friend. And that's good stuff. And I think all the social media stuff, while it has the illusion of community, I think it's really isolating.
Hate me.
Yeah, and so the more that we get together around the bar or playing music together, those are the times that I really feel connected to my community, and that's the stuff that we're trying to replicate and trying to grow here in New Orleans.
And I always say that on stage. I'm like, you don't have to, like, when you go to therapy, there's all different avenues of therapy. In my own case, the first therapist that I got, it was okay. And then I went to the VA, and it was just kind of like this watered down, like, I don't want to talk to this guy with, smells like patchouli and he's wearing wooden beads. I can't relate to this guy. Never. But, I just get another one. Like, and with Vet Jams, we're a band, but we're more of a community. We try to bring veterans in to speak veteran to each other and just have, and then I always say, if, join a VFW so you can reach out and find your tribe. If you don't like the VFW, go to American Legion, but find veterans to talk to. Find someone you can relate to. Find someone you're comfortable with. And that way, you can, you just don't have to like walk into the VA and, I mean, you can, but, Vet Jams is trying to create, a conversation, a starting point to where we can, it's free. And then, it's just the suicide rate is just, it has to come down. I just, and like
it
Vet
takes
Jams
us working.
It does. It takes a lot of work, and it's a pleasure doing it. I get to hang out with my buddy and drink beer and listen to Waylon Jennings. I mean, come on, man.
And you're and that's considered doing good work. Can you believe that? Like, I get to sit here and talk to amazing people on these interviews. I get to get crap by my chat and stuff, get made fun of on here by the guys that I served with and their wives. But at the end of the day, I know that these guys care a lot about me. I went through a time, and I wanted to share this with you because me and Jason were talking. I said, I'm going to share my story with you because we don't know each other. But so the reason why I joined the military, and it goes into that complex trauma that you were talking about. I lost my cousin, who was like my brother, over in Iraq in 2005 to an IED. And I never had any interest in joining the military at all. Didn't want to join, didn't care. He passed away. I was in the Army. 6 months later, my enlistment date was his birthday, right?
Wow.
So I was telling you about the Eyes of Freedom. He was killed with 13 other Marines and one IED. And there was this lady that painted portraits of all these Marines that were killed at the same time. And they go all around the country. And it's really neat. It's called the Eyes of Freedom. You got to see it if you're a Marine. But a guy out of the military got married, was doing real well. Thought everything was fine. Then I was raised by my grandma, but my dad was always around. But my grandma ended up passing away. And then my next door neighbor, who was like my little brother, he died a month later. Went some time. My aunt died. My wife left me. And then my dad, I walked in on my dad gone all within the same year. And I found myself isolating. And really started to go through things that I had never even thought that I would go through. I didn't know what depression was, and it still hits me. I took last week off because of it, because I felt myself isolating. And these guys in here they were messaging me. One guy was like, I'm getting ready to go up to Ohio and see what the heck's going on with him. It's great to have a community, not only when you are good, but it's amazing when you're not doing so well to know that these people care so much about you. People I've never met in my life were checking in on me, right? That's the amazing thing about community. But tell me a little bit about Vet Jams and what you guys do, because this show is all about you guys. But I promised you I'd tell you a little bit about my story because I thought that was the right thing to do. You guys are sharing yours. I might as well share
man, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We do these, and it's interesting because like a lot of times we'll do these interviews, and like the guy on the other side of the microphone doesn't really have any idea of what we've gone through and where how we've gone, what road we traveled to be here. So we appreciate you have sharing your story and kind of just sitting around the bar, right? Just bullshit with other veterans.
That's what I love about this, right? And when I was in Iraq, I was hit by 10 IEDs and an RPG, right? So I had a traumatic brain injury. So Nick, the guy who introduced us, I got medevaced out with Nick. He was part of my unit.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, it's just, and Nick is one of those guys that, and I hate to say this because, he's in here and I give him no credit for anything, okay? I will never. But I love the guy like my brother. All these guys are great people. Nick's family is like my family, though. His mom flew into Germany and made sure that I stayed in the Fisher house with them and not in the barracks. And Germany is a whole different other story, and we won't talk about Germany right now. Tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing, though, with Vet Jams, because I want to hear this.
Yeah, I guess I'll give you a little bit of the backstory. So we're actually doing the interview today from the VFW 8973 right here in New Orleans. And Chet and I are both members. And we were hanging out one day after they have social nights here on Thursdays, right?
Yeah.
And we were hanging out and just having a drink, and we were just kind of talking about music and talking about life, and kind of got on the subject of mental health, and I told him that I'd taught yoga for a couple of years, and how really I didn't really reach as many people as I wanted to, and that really this is New Orleans is a music town, and I was like, what do you think about maybe starting a band and then talk about mental health on the microphone to kind of get the idea out there and start normalizing talking about therapy, because especially with the older Vietnam vets, but I think it's true all the way to today, is that a lot of it's just the stigma, like if you're talking about mental health, that means you're weak, or that means that you can't hack it, or whatever it means. But everybody that's I think even been associated with military folks, and I think it's one of the good things about a lot of the nonprofits that have really been driving home with 22 a day, is that we're just losing way too many of our brothers and sisters by their own hand.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Chet and I were just talking about it, and like, fuck, man, how can we change this?
Yeah.
And so we decided to start a band, and and for lots of different reasons, we wanted to create our own community and have vets get together and play music. That was really where it all just kind of started. It's like, hey, let's just get together once a week and start playing music together, and we'll kind of talk about therapy if it comes up, but that'll just kind of be the starting thing. But then it just kind of steamrolled from there.
Yeah.
We played for a year at the VFW every week on a Wednesday night, and had a few different vets swing by and play. We had a lot of friends. Chet's got a lot of friends that play music in New Orleans, and I've got a fair amount too. And so,
Oh, I think we might have lost him. Hold on one second here. There you are.
so we decided to switch and start playing out in bars. Yeah, and that's really when Vet Jams, I think, came together. Javier and Becca showed up. Javier is an active duty officer in the Marines, and his girlfriend's a professional drummer, and that was good. Then we were kind of off to the races. He plays pedal steel and sings, and plays guitar too. Becca plays drums. Chet plays harmonica, play guitar and sing. And so we just started booking gigs around New Orleans, and we actively talk about mental health on the mic. We talk about the vet center and how everybody can get free therapy with their DD-214, and we talk about how it's okay to talk about what's going inside your head. It's just that simple. It's a simple message, and I think the idea of Vet Jams is to kind of break up some of the hard stuff to talk about, like mental health and suicide, with the good stuff, like music and having a drink and and sitting in a bar and hanging out. And, just kind of took off from there.
Yeah, we have players who just literally just walk in the bar and like, hey, I'm a veteran. I want to jam with you guys. I'm like, dude, Wednesday night at the VFW, come have a beer, show us what you got. You're more than welcome. I don't care if you play ukulele and tell knock jokes. Do it. Let's do it. Look, here's the mic. I'm serious. I mean, it doesn't matter. But just come on out to the practice and get to know everybody, feel comfortable, and just come on in. We've had veterans come in and like watch music. There's an old Vietnam vet who lives in the neighborhood. We're playing country music. He's sitting there tapping his foot, and the next time we play, he comes in. He's got a guitar over his back, and I'm like, hey, well, you play guitar? He goes, no. You guys inspired me to join the guitar club at the VA. And I'm like, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
And he still plays to this day. Well, he won't get up on stage. He's like a little shy, But
we've had some people that try to get on, that I've asked to get on the show, and they'll talk till your ear falls off on the phone. You tell them to put a camera in front of their face. They're like, absolutely not. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm like, okay. I mean, I get it. I was the same way though. I was the exact same way. I didn't want this camera sitting in front of my face talking to people. I was afraid what they were going to say. But, when I started doing it more often, I was like, it doesn't matter what people that this is going to affect the people it's supposed to. The people that it's not supposed to touch, guess what? Doesn't matter anyways. It's doing something for me and the people that are here for that specific reason. And once I realize that, this camera doesn't bother me anymore.
Well, it's good for here because you're only like this big on my screen, so you look great from this far away.
Hey, did you hear that, Casey? I look great. But yeah, tell us, do you guys perform now?
Yeah, so we've been really fortunate, honestly. The last couple years, we started when we first got the idea to start playing out in bars. We reached out to, I just started cold calling people, calling in favors, and our first gig that we got booked was actually Pirogue's Whiskey Bayou Bar out in Araby.
Yeah.
The owner there, actually, one of her good friends was a Marine who committed suicide, and so as soon as she heard our story. And so we play there the last Thursday of every month. And then we reached out to Le Bon Ton. Our good friend Lynn's been a bartender there for like 8 or 10 years. She's an Army vet. She talked to the owners. Chet knows that one of the owners too, Pepper.
Yeah.
And so we play the first Monday of every month at Le Bon Ton. And then about a year ago or so, Bank Street Bar, which used to be a punk rock bar, but it got bought out by another group. We reached out to them and we started playing there on Tuesday nights. New Orleans is a very neighborhoody city. There's a lot of kind of like Chicago, and LA, there's like a lot of people that don't leave their neighborhood. So,
Yeah,
so what we try to do is we try to play a different
Yeah.
gig in a different part of the city
to
every week.
reach out to different veterans in different neighborhoods in the city. You know, we were hitting and missing like every Wednesday at the VFW, you know, and it's like, man, let's get out into the community and spread the gospel. And
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun.
And it's worked.
And it's worked.
I mean,
Yeah.
we were at Bank Street Bar about, I think it was 2 months ago, and this guy walked in. He's like, I'm a vet, lives in the neighborhood, and I was walking by and heard you guys and saw Vet Jams on the sign and decided to come in and check it out. I mean, it really does work. And, and again, what we were talking about earlier is that, really what we're hoping to do is start kind of building like a moving community of people that do
Yeah.
show up on a regular basis and see each other and check in with each other and listen to a little bit of music and talk. And, and we're also kind of different. We play country music, which is a little bit different in New Orleans. There's a lot of funk here and, like classical jazz type stuff, but we're just playing country music and doing a lot of outlaw country and some singer-songwriter stuff. So I think it's a good vibe, right? I think it's the right vibe for the mood. It allows people to still talk but it's still entertaining. And we've been really super fortunate. We've had probably, I guess, more than 20 musicians play with
Yeah.
Vet Jams over the last 3 years.
Which is awesome. And like if they want to jam and they show up with their instrument, look, as a hot mic, boop, plug them
Yeah.
in, away we go.
We had some members from the Marine Corps Reserve Band come in and sit in with us. Jacob is a tuba player over there. He's been playing bass with us for about a year now. We had 3 or 4 horns come out. At one time, we were like almost a 12-piece band.
Yeah.
It was
Holy
wild. We got-
crap.
Yeah.
It's been a wild ride, and we just keep adding to it. And it's one of those things you take 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. The turnover. People come and go, just like any military, right? There's always people that are moving out or got work stuff
Yeah.
comes up or family stuff comes out. So we'll go back and relearn songs that we've gotten down, but just kind of what you were talking about earlier, the vibe and who it's supposed to reach, it does. And so it's real easy to get caught up in all the good stuff. And I will say that one of the other interesting things about running a military veteran band is that everybody understands being a piece of the whole, right? We all understand that we got our job to play. And I swear, we have the guy with the biggest ego in the band is me. I mean, like everybody else.
Imagine that, the
It's
Marine.
Big Chief.
Imagine
Yeah.
the Marine.
Yeah, I always joke that we're the only band in New Orleans that starts on time. I mean, we really do. And so it's just been really good. I mean, it does really have kind of a unit feel almost. Everybody understands the mission about what we're about promoting mental health for veterans, getting the word out about, it's funny, we talk a lot about 988. You know what 988 is?
I do not.
Perfect. Yeah. So 988 is a national hotline that anybody can call or
Oh,
text at
yep.
any time. Yeah. And it's free mental health. So even if you don't want to go see a therapist or you don't have a buddy, but you're just having a real low spot, you can call or text that number at any time. And I can't tell you how many therapists, mental health professionals that I've met that don't know about 988.
Yeah.
So we really try to put like 988 on all of our posters that we put out for band flyers. We're just really trying to spread the gospel that it's okay to go to therapy, and that, and whatever method gets you there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, it took me 20 years to go to freaking therapy. So I'm the testament of a long road to where I needed to be. But I just think it's a good thing. And so, we play, we've had a lot of great shows, especially this last year. There's Chef Besh, who runs a bunch of restaurants down here. He was a Marine back in the 90s. He does Desert Storm Vet. He does a block party every year and caters it, free booze, free food. And it's a block party, shuts down a street in New Orleans. We got to play that this year with Jimmy Stair, who was a recon instructor for a bunch of years, and he came out and played with us. And I bet we had 1,000 people out there playing music on the Marine Corps birthday. It was amazing.
And it's open bar from like 1 o'clock till like 8 o'clock at night. And when Marines have open bar, the lid comes off.
It's fun.
It's like, but they police each other up,
Yeah.
I've seen like, homemade stretchers on, on catering tables carrying Marines out.
But and we played a great Toys for Tots gig. Chet knew a guy that Hot Rod. He does a big Toys for Tots drive every December. We went out there and had a good crowd. And we've got our regular gigs that we play every month, and then we try to fill them in with some extra stuff. I mean, honestly, we'll really just play about anywhere that we can get the word out about mental health for veterans and just talking about, just trying to normalize it. The greater impact, the better our music gets, the more the message gets spread. The more the message gets spread, the greater the impact. And so I just really feel like it's all good vibes. And it's funny because we've got even a couple pro musicians that have been with us for more than a year now.
Yeah.
And we don't, we pay our pro musicians first. So any tips that we get, we try to support that's how they make their living.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, we'll make 30, 40 bucks in a night. It won't be much. And, that'll go directly to the pro musicians.
We usually give like our tips to the when the money's left over, we give it to the young Marines, the brass Marines, because because you know how much dry cleaning is for Marines, active duty Marines. It's off the charts. We were sitting down talking one day, and they were like, "Man, we got to pay so much out of our own pocket for these dry cleaners." So we started, ponying up funds for them.
But we've had a lot of great musicians come through. We've got Scotty right now on keys playing with. He's a civilian supporter that's been with us for more than a year. We got Steve that's been killing it. We've been doing Soul Shine here lately, and he just nails that lead. And he's just really great musicians. And then Becca Javier's significant other's been playing drums with us for years now. And honestly, we've leaned a lot on them to teach us like how to get these gigs and how to be a part of the music community, because there's a lot of musicians in New Orleans that this is how they make their living, and we didn't want to disrupt that by going out and playing for free everywhere and all that other stuff. So we've kind of had to figure out how to blend into the community of musicians, but at the same time really focusing on how to get the message out about mental health and how it's okay to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the things that I didn't think it would help me out as much as what it has, right? Doing my show, I didn't realize that it would help me out so much. Has this helped you guys out? And have you noticed it helping out the people, the band members, not only the band members, but the people in the audience? Has it helped you guys out, and have you noticed a help in the community through what you guys are doing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I look forward to it, because we're making a change, and you could feel the change. You could see it in like people's eyes when you meet somebody and like you tell them about, it's free. Because I've had so many veterans come up after me and say, it's free, and how do I get in there? I'm like, call me personally. I'll meet you at the VA. I'll walk you in there, and I will show you the ropes. Because I got a black belt. I've been in since '92. I know the ins, the outs. I know who to talk to. I know where to go. And I don't be shy about it. And look, I'm happy to drink a cup of coffee, meet you at the VA, and walk. I have several times walked in the VA. And of course, you go in there and like, mental health is a little busy, but you know what? I had a buddy of mine, he had a panic attack at a parade, and his wife called me and says, Chris is not doing good. We had to go find Chris in the crowd. And I called Chris the next day. I said, Chris, come on out, man. Just come on out to my neighborhood and we'll have a cup of coffee at this little coffee shop. And I said, we're going to go down to the VA today. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. I said, tell me. And so we're driving there, and I said, on the way there, he started telling me about his panic attack. And I'm like, par for course, it's like, so we walked in there, and Chris started having a panic attack when we were in the mental health ward, because he didn't know where to go. And I said, Chris, just sit there. So I went over to the secretary, and she was busy. I said, ma'am, I just have to tell you one thing. And I got on my knee behind the desk, and I said, you see that guy right there? He's having a panic attack right now. Could you do something? She was like, she's like saluted me, like wink, wink, said, give me 5 minutes. She walked in the back. I went and sat next to Chris, just talking to him directly in his face. And sure enough, in 10 minutes, a therapist came out and took Chris in, and had his lined up his therapy. And now he does his therapy. He started once a week. Now he's like on once every 2 weeks. And so win.
Yeah,
win.
Yeah, we're we're on Instagram and on Facebook at NOLA Vet Jams, and we've had, I don't know, 50 people message us through the social medias that asking for contact information. I've had some buddies here in the community that said, hey Jason, I'm at this building, I can't find it, or hey, I went on the website and I can't find it. We're always trying to walk people through that. My therapist has said that they've kind of seen an uptick since we started doing this outreach of the people that have been going to the vet center here in New Orleans. And I know for me, playing music is therapy. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
It's an expression, and it's something to do that's like kind of physical, that I think kind of gets some of that dis-ease out of the body and allows it to go into a positive space. And I'll tell you, we've attracted musicians. Our good friend David, we met him at Le Bon Temps playing music one night, and the next month he showed up with his guitar. 3 months later, he was playing 45-minute sets with the band.
That's
And,
awesome, man.
And then, 6 months later, he's all like, he's like, Jason, he's like, you don't know what it's meant to me to be in this band, to have you guys around. I feel like for the first time in a long time, I've really got guys that I can depend on, and it's stuff that I look forward to doing. And Birdie, and our bass player in our band, he's probably the biggest loose cannon there is. And he's been, if there's anybody that's giving me freaking heartburn in this band, his name is Birdie. But I love the guy. And
Recon Marine, just
royal pain in the ass.
And that's the beauty of our band too, of our community. It's like we have an officer, Marine Corps, he doesn't drink. We have Birdie, who overindulges and is never on time, and Big Chief is like trying to push the chest. And I don't know, sorry, I think it's a family. We're a total family. We have every aspect, every walk of life.
But that's really what it's all about.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. What it's about.
Yeah, and I think that that's where the rubber meets the road, right? Is that, for a while, Birdie was kind of off of his rocker there for a little bit. And, we talked about it, he kind of missed some gigs. He showed up late. He showed up fucking unable to play because he'd been drinking since 10 o'clock that morning.
Yeah.
And, we talked about it, and I'm like, I don't know how much more I can do this. And Chet's like, I got this. He's like, we're going to go talk to him. And I never wanted to kick him out of the band or anything, but he was just he was getting on my last nerve. And we had to figure out a way to keep the bus rolling because, and he came around, and you know what? I've had bad days too. I've had bad months too. And there's no judgment there whatsoever. And, and we got Birdie to the other side. And I tell you what, here lately, he's been one of the best. And, he got us that Marine Corps birthday gig too. He's the one that called Jimmy Stair in and play that show. Yeah. And, so that's the thing, is that we all have something to contribute. Right. We're all going to be pains in the ass at some point. Right. And I know I am. I've there's days that I show up and I'm not the best version of myself, and I've had a long, stressful day, or, I'm having, just all the stresses that kind of blow out. But, we are a family, we are a community, we're here to support each other. But without a doubt, Vet Jams has really made an impact, I think, for, all the musicians in the band. I think we've kind of attracted our tribe. And to be honest with you, we're just getting started. We're really looking forward to recording an album here in a couple of months. We've been working a lot on originals, and as soon as we get the album out, then we're going to really start hitting up the festivals, because while it's been really good playing these gigs around New Orleans, we're just not getting the depth of the impact that we're really trying to get to. So we want to get in front of 50,000 people and say that it's okay to go to therapy, and that any service member can get free therapy through the vet center. I want to say that to 50,000 people. And we're going to.
And we're directing the message at veterans, but we let civilians know who all know veterans. There's the uncle, there's the mechanic, there's the guy who was maybe they could drop a dime in their ear and say, hey, I saw this band, and they're all veterans, and they they talk about mental health. They say it's free, once you just that little bit right there. If we push someone towards a positive direction, then we're doing exactly what we set out to do. And that's the mission statement.
I absolutely love it, because our mission is the exact same, and that's why I love what you guys are doing, because it's a lot. It's exactly what I'm trying to do as well. So I'm with you guys. I mean, I think you guys are doing an amazing job and doing something that's helping not only the people that are a part of the band, but you're touching the community too, which is the important part as well. So I think that's amazing. I had somebody, actually it was Nick. What did Nick say? Nick said, hold on a second. I gotta read what Nick said in here. I think NOLA Vet Jam should have a song for the intro of Operation Intel.
Oh, all right.
Listen, if you guys want to do that, I would be more than happy to put that on the intro. I think it would be kind of cool.
Awesome.
Because
Hell yeah, that'd be awesome. We'll start working on it right away.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I think it would be neat. Our missions are the exact same,
Yeah.
and whenever you guys have a show, or when that first 50,000, that first 50,000 that you get to say that to, I would love to be able to announce that on this show, because I think that would be really cool, and I know you guys are going to do it.
You know, we're mission oriented, so look, you know, don't let's poke the bear, man. Let's do this. Look. One of the things that inspired me, other than, you know, the mission, was I'm in traffic, and this good buddy of mine, he's a professional musician, and I see him, and I'm like, hey, hey, Dave, and I roll the window, and I said, man, we're starting this all veteran band, man. It's, you know, we're gonna be called Vet Jams. And Dave looks at me, he goes, what are you gonna do? Play Born in the USA over and over? And I was like, oh. Okay. Oh, now you pissed me off. All right. And I told, as soon as I got to the VFW, I told Jason, I said, fuck that. Excuse me. I was like, oh, dude, you know what he said? We'll show him. And guess what? Playing more gigs than him right now.
Good.
He's like, you're playing how many gigs a month? I'm like, yeah, Born in the USA. Remember that? Don't piss a veteran off. It might do something about it.
What was that one song? I think Tracy Adkins sang. It's like "Mess with the USA, we'll put a boot in your ass" or something like that. I forget. That's where you should go with it. But listen, guys, I have two questions that I normally ask everybody, but I got one question in particular to you guys. I think I know the answer, but I ask it to every veteran that I interview and every nonprofit that I interview. I'm also asking it to you guys. If you could give one piece of advice to a veteran out there that's struggling, what would that one piece of advice be?
Man, just think about, be grateful to what you have. If you have just, you know, if you have a roof over your head, just concentrate on that and then move forward from there. Take little small steps. Be gentle with yourself. You know, it's a rugged road, but there's help. There's people out there. You're a veteran. You're part of a tribe. And look, veterans love each other. They love to take care of each other, and they love to just reach out to another veteran. You know, most civilians don't understand us. They really don't. You know, we talk to each other in a brand that just freaks civilians out. You know, when we curse at each other and we put each other down, it means we love each other. My wife, she does not get it. We curse each other out, and it just means we're giving each other a verbal hug.
Yeah.
You know, but there is help. That you're part of a tribe, you're part of a community, you're part of a brand that you don't realize you have. And, you know, there's avenues of good that, you know, just reach out. Do not isolate. The worst thing you could possibly do is to isolate and not talk about it. You put that cork in the pressure cooker, and when the pressure gets too much and the cork doesn't go out, bad things happen. So get active in your community, you know, go for a walk, exercise, reach out. You know, there is avenues of you know, where you can go in a positive light. You know, that's what helped me.
Absolutely.
You know, I got off the booze, I got off the drugs, you know, got into jujitsu, got into, you know, just being gentle with myself, and at the same time, you know, building, you know, joining a community. And VFWs, American Legions, you know, just reach out. You know, you can do it. It's really simple, you know.
Yeah, I would say, I would just tell them that you're not alone.
Yes,
exactly. I think that, I think there's this real sense of loneliness, and it's really easy to get lost down that spiral.
Totally.
And to feel like nobody else feels this way but me.
Yeah.
And I would just tell them that everybody feels that way. It's just about how good we are at hiding it. And there's all kinds of ways to get better, and you just got to find your path to get better. But I believe that talking to somebody is a good way
Yeah.
to start that, you know, because no matter where you are, you could be highly successful, you could be, you know, living on the streets. I think it all starts with talking to somebody and realizing that you're not alone.
Yeah.
And when you start from that place and you start kind of talking out loud about what's going inside of your head and how you feel, that is going to eventually be the launch pad to a better thing.
Absolutely, 100%.
I
First,
love that.
The first therapist that I just absolutely could not get enough of. I remember opening the door and this lady was standing there, and she's this little bitty hippie lady, and she had a tie-dye shirt on with Birkenstocks, and I was like, I just gotten off work. You know, I'm a construction worker, electrician. I was like, I hate this woman already. I could just look at her and like, I just don't look. By the time I was done with that session, I was rolling from side wall to wall, and there was just tissues everywhere. And as she said, the time is up, and I was like, "Can I come back tomorrow morning?" Because I knew in my heart that this woman, she just knew me. She saw the problem, she saw the light, and I don't want to. Her name is Marley, but you know she's retired now, and yeah. So the help's out there, and just find your tribe, find your therapist, and just go forward from there. And good things are going to happen.
I love that. I love that. I'm going to be down in Louisiana in August.
Okay, it's gonna be really hot.
It's
like boiling hot.
I know. Now you see why I don't like Nick. Okay, this is Nick's fault. But
did he invite you in August? That really messed up.
Yeah, he did. No, Gulf Coast Veterans has a fishing tournament down there, and they invited me down there to be a part of that. And they're talking about taking me to go see you guys if
that'd be awesome.
I have to check.
Let's exchange. What town is it in? Mississippi, Alabama?
No, I believe it's in Baton Rouge. Nick, give me 1 second. I'll have an answer for you here. He's the brains behind. He's the brains behind this, because you don't want me to be behind anything. I promise you that. I'd end up in Kansas again on accident. Let's see. Did you guys perform at Kevin Sherber's garage in Jefferson? That's coming from the chat.
Yeah, that was the Toys for Tots gig.
Yeah. He built the Marine Corps barracks over there in across the river.
Yeah, that was a great gig. We had a really good time.
Awesome. Yeah. Good food, good people, Toys for Tots. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Nick said it's going to be in Venice. Is that what it?
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah.
End of the world. Yeah. You don't catch fish down there. Shame on you. Shame.
Yeah, I'm not much of a fisherman. I don't like water that much, to be completely honest with you. But they're going to get me out.
That's why you live in Ohio.
Exactly, man. Exactly. I told them I'd get my floaties out and stuff. I said no open water. I don't do. If I can't see the bottom, I don't get in.
How'd you pass swim qual?
We didn't. Well, I don't know. All we had to do was tread. That's all we had to do, and I was okay with that. But I don't know, man. I can swim. I just don't like it very much. Okay, I almost drowned.
Let me give you. Here's the two tips for being in South Louisiana in August. You got to move slower. Don't be in a rush to go nowhere, and always take a cold drink everywhere you go, and then you'll be all right.
Brother, I was down there in July. It was a few years ago. I went down to New Orleans. Well, I was in Mississippi, and some of my family members took me down to Bourbon Street, and it was so humid. And I'm like, it was like midnight when we showed up on Bourbon Street, and I had a few shots down there. I didn't feel anything. I was like, what in the world is going on? I took a shot of 151, and I'm like. Still didn't feel anything, and I was like, "Why am I not feeling anything?" And they're like, "It's because you're sweating it out so quick. I was like, oh, there it is. I was like, that's why y'all drink so much down there.
Yeah,
you're right.
It's air you can wear, like
There
in
you
July and
go, buddy.
August.
Well, look, we will stay in touch. Welcome to our family as well. If there's anything that we can do for you guys, please reach out to me. Reach out to Nick. Reach out to myself. Either one of us.
Yeah.
I look forward to working with you guys hand in hand when it comes to battling this veteran suicide thing. And I always tell this to everybody. You know, I think we're better together. And when we have each other's backs and we really show up for each other, that's when these great things are going to happen for the veteran community. And I think that we're going to fix this for the next generation that's coming right behind us.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like the Vietnam vets fixed it for us to where we weren't spit on when we came back. And we owe that to them. We owe it to them. So,
and could I say one thing about another aspect of our mission statement of
ahead,
Vet Jams is we I mean this is a long-term goal is we want to have Vet Jams Albuquerque, Vet Jams Youngstown, Ohio, Vet Jams, and that way when the word gets out that veterans can get together and play music, we would love to have, vet jams from all over the country come together in one collective and have a big giant jam session and talk about mental health and have, a big giant concert and like just have every aspect of, music from all over the country and just have one focused mission of mental health and music. And that's the dream. And,
Yeah, that's one of the good things about our mission is that, one, talking about mental health and therapy on the microphone, but vet centers are everywhere.
Yeah.
So, I think that's one of the things that really kind of came to light is that we're, not only are we talking about the problem, but we're talking about the solution, and the solution's free. It just takes breaking down these social barriers and, removing the stigma that's associated with therapy and mental health so we can get all of our brothers and sisters over the finish line and live a ripe old age and be happy.
Yeah.
Chet says it all the time. We all deserve to be happy.
Yeah.
And, and I think that, a lot of times we feel like maybe if we've got guilt or, we've lived through a lot of hard times that we don't no longer think that. And it's just true. We all deserve to be happy, and we all deserve to get the help that we need to be happy and to find happiness in our lives. And through the vet center and every service member can get free therapy, and there's probably one close to you. And then the other cool thing is that especially after COVID, they all got these telehealth fillings. So now you don't even have to go anywhere. I mean, you can literally get in your truck on your lunch break and take your therapy sessions from right there. So it's accessible to everybody. And Tim, we really appreciate you having us on.
Thank you, Tim.
If you ever need, next time you come down to New Orleans, don't go to Bourbon. Just give us a call.
Yeah,
we'll take you all the good spots.
Yeah, we'll take you to where the locals hang.
I don't know if I want to be around a bunch of Marines. I don't know if I can handle that these days. Right?
Yeah, you'll be fine. We'll bring a couple Army guys along too, so you'll feel comfortable.
Famous last words. You'll be fine. Listen, guys, when you guys get to that point where you have a big music festival and stuff like that, because I truly believe that you will get to that point. Just because of everything that you're saying and the good work that you guys are doing. And I'm a firm believer when you have a good mission and you're working towards that mission, and you're doing it for the right reasons, you'll get there. When you do that, I want to do a live podcast from there. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I think that would be really neat. So listen, guys,
maybe you can stream it too. You can stream the concert.
Hey man, listen, veterans helping veterans, right? Yeah. So, listen, guys, thank you both for coming on tonight. Like I said, if there's anything that we can do for you on this end, whether or not it be like, hey, our album dropped, let me know. I will put it on the channel as well, so you guys can get the free publication from that. I'm all about helping you guys out as well. So. Let me know.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. When you get that song done, let me know. I want it on there.
Yeah.
Definitely, guys.
We'll get it ready.
We love a challenge.
There you go. Well, listen, thank you both for being on tonight. I appreciate you guys.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Cheers.
That was awesome. And you know, one of the things that I loved most about that, guys, is just it's what I've said from the very beginning. When you sit down with another veteran or another group of veterans, it just feels like you're talking to friends. That was the first time. Chet came on maybe like 2 minutes before we went live. Actually, it wasn't even 2 minutes. I think it was 45 seconds before we went live. Amazing people. I'm looking forward to hopefully we get the intro from them. That would be really cool because, I mean, it's a veteran singing our intro song. I mean, yeah, that would be perfect. It would be absolutely perfect. But it was so easy to sit down and talk with those guys. Absolutely great work. When I'll have them send me their information on where they are performing live and when they are performing. We'll share that on the Operation Intel Veteran Stories page. But yeah, and thanks goes out to you guys, Nick and Wesley. I appreciate you guys so much for bringing them to me. I really love that one. That was really good, and it was much needed too, because his story was a lot like mine. That's what shocked me. And you know, I believe we meet people for a reason, and you know, our stories kind of lined up, and our mission lines up. So I needed that. I needed to hear that. So not only thank you for bringing them to me, but thank you because I absolutely needed to hear that from somebody after the week that I had last week. So thank you very much. Yeah, Mac, definitely check out one of their shows. I think that they're doing great things. And they've been featured all over. And here are some of the pictures of what they are doing. I almost forgot to show these. These are just some of the pictures. Just great people. Great mission. And it's just another form of, you know, what we're trying to do as well. All of our missions are doing the exact same thing, and that's just trying to reduce that number of 22 a day. There they are right there. I'm really excited. Hopefully I can get down and get to see one of their shows. I think that would be really neat. Amazing work. Pop into one of their shows, support those guys. If you're down in the New Orleans area, definitely check those guys out. They will be a part of the page. And then when we get the dates in which they are performing live, they will be on the page as well. Listen, guys, try my best to get as many nonprofits in here as possible. If you know a nonprofit out there that you want to see on the show, I would definitely love to have them on. I'm in talks with a couple of them right now as well, trying to get to that number 22, and we can. We're at day 11 right now. So if you are a veteran struggling out there, definitely know that there's people out there that feel the exact same way that you do. Not only feel the same way you do, but have went through the same exact situations that you've went through. You are more than welcome to be a part of this community. We will treat you like family. Reach out to us. If you are struggling, definitely reach out to us. We are doing our best to be there for one another and create a good community around each other. So listen, guys, if I can get another one in tomorrow, I definitely will. I'm working on it. But I will talk to you guys here soon, and I hope you guys have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will talk to you guys later.
Real heroes, real stories, real impact.